I bought all 4 Badee Al Ouds. I'm going to be opening each one, giving you my very first impression, comparing them to dupes. I do plan on this being a 2-parter video. I have been told that it is best to let these macerate for at least a couple of weeks after opening and spraying a couple of times. So my plan is to give you my initial thoughts on first opening and then follow up in a couple of weeks to see how they've macerated. I'm hearing a lot of reports of the scent completely transforming after a couple of weeks. So I have been advised to please do take the first impression with a grain of salt, and we will revisit these in a couple of weeks. Let's get on with it. Let's start with Sublime. All right. Also love these boxes. So opening her up. Oh, it opens from the top like that. Wow. Love the presentation that Lattafa puts into their scents. They always go above and beyond. Beautiful bottle. Super heavy. It feels very luxurious. Just first impression of the bottle. And it's got this really nice like matte finish, but not the kind of matte that would leave fingerprints. It's like a nice smooth matte. You know what I mean. So before I open this and spray it, let's talk about notes. For Badee Al Ouds Sublime, you've got top notes of apple, lychee, and rose, middle notes of plum and jasmine, and base notes of vanilla, moss, and patchouli. All right, enough talking, let's spray. God, the lid is even super heavy as well. But you heard that thud. That's a thud. Zoom this out. Oh. Okay. I'm getting a really big hit of lychee and rose. I'm even getting some of that plum in the top. I feel like the apple, I am getting the apple as well. God, it's really well blended. I love the opening. It's quite soft for such a fruit forward opening. I think the rose really helps it with that. It helps to soften it out and keeps it from being too tart and too citrus in the top with that apple. I don't really get any of the jasmine, and the patchouli it's there, but it's like there's a freshness to it. I think maybe the moss is helping with that. It keeps it from being too edgy. If you know what I mean with patchouli, sometimes it can be a little bit dirty, and the patchouli in this it's not dirty at all, at least not to me anyway. Very beautiful opening. I think this is a beautiful fragrance. I was very worried about the accords because whenever I see something that's really fresh heavy, I get a bit worried because I don't want it to come across too like clean, like a shampoo or like soapy. But this is not that. This is not giving that at all. The fruit is really, really good at this one while maintaining its softness. So it's not coming across too harsh or sharp. So this one is often compared to KHAMRAH's Eat and Juicy Apple. So I happen to have her right here. So I'm actually going to do a spray of this one and compare the two. Okay, right away, Eat and Juicy Apple, way sweeter. Way sweeter and more tart. The apple is definitely more forward. It more smells like apple juice, like a sweet apple juice. Whereas Badee Al Ouds Sublime, it's more soft. It's like I said, it's more soft. You don't really get one thing that jumps out at you, and I think that rose helps with that. And Eat and Juicy Apple, it's very, very sweet apple juice. Almost too sweet. Yeah, this is almost too sweet, like leaning on candy. Badee Al Ouds, no, you're not getting that. You're getting a very smooth sweetness. Now that Badee Al Ouds Sublime is drying, I'm getting almost a leathery facet to it. Comparing the notes, I think you've got more grounding elements in the Badee Al Ouds Sublime. It's a little bit deeper, it's a little bit more earthy, and I swear I'm getting like a leathery tone, which could just be from the moss and the patchouli, which I don't know if I would say that Sublime is 100% unisex. I think because of that sweetness and that rose, I don't know, I think maybe a lot of men who prefer traditionally masculine scents might want to shy away from this one. I do like KHAMRAH Eat and Juicy Apple, but it's almost too sweet, whereas the Badee Al Ouds, it's just smoother. It's smoother. I think the lychee is a little bit more prominent versus the apple in the KHAMRAH. That's definitely the star of the show in KHAMRAH, and in Badee Al Ouds Sublime, I think the lychee and even the plum is coming out a bit more. So you're getting more of a well-rounded fruit basket. I love this one. I am already super impressed. I can't wait to smell the rest. Badee Al Ouds, Oud for Glory. Ooh, I'm stoked for this one. In Badee Al Ouds, Oud for Glory, you've got top notes of saffron, nutmeg, and lavender, middle notes of oud and patchouli, and base notes of oud, patchouli, and musk. Ooh. Oh, very spicy. I think even the second spray was way too much. This is like a massive hit of nutmeg in the top. I get a little bit of the lavender. Now I'm just getting that oud. Okay, I'm gonna let this one calm down because the oud is almost overpowering, suffocating. I would imagine if you were to spray this on yourself and the bubble that it creates probably wouldn't be this overpowering. For me, as a woman, I probably wouldn't wear this. Would I like it on a man? It's a bit much. It's almost coming across like smoky now. Now that it's drying down a little bit more, there's a bit of a smokiness, which could be just the patchouli doing that. Maybe because I'm not like a huge oud lover, or because this one it's just so pungent and strong. I think I'm gonna need to take a break after this. Listen, I like it. I don't love it. But also, oud is not necessarily my jam. At least not like this with how spicy it is. So if that's your thing, you might really like this one. But really, it's just so overpowering. So like I said, it's a little sharp. Maybe the nutmeg doing that. A little bit too spicy. It's almost like assaulting my nose. I think I need to stop smelling this one. Very curious to see how this one macerates even after a couple of weeks. Like I said, we will do an update on all of these. Literally had to step away because that fragrance was so strong, it's all I could smell. So I left the room, just let it air out. I really needed time. That thing just like blasted my senses. If nothing else, this mother is strong, at least on the initial spray. Badee Al Ouds Amethyst. Okay, opening her up. For Amethyst, you've got top notes of pink pepper and bergamot, middle notes of Turkish rose and Bulgarian rose and jasmine, base notes of oud, amber, and vanilla. This is another very oud heavy one. Very oud heavy. I'm getting a lot of rose, and there is that little bit of a bite from the pink pepper. I don't know if I love it because of that. Let me sit on this one. Let me just see. To be honest, it's very heavy oud. It's a little bit softer than the oud in Oud for Glory. Could be because of the rose. It's coming off a little bit more like dusty and soft. There is a spiciness there, and I'm assuming it's that pink pepper. I don't know if I love the pink pepper. Someone else might smell this and absolutely love the pink pepper, but I don't know if I love it in this. I'm just being honest. This one is compared to Atomic Rose. I do have a decant of that one. I'm gonna spray her. Okay, in Atomic Rose, you actually still have that pink pepper and the bergamot at the top, but I don't get it nearly as much. It's not as spicy, and the rose is brighter, I would say. I would say the rose in Atomic Rose is a bit of a brighter rose, maybe a little bit of a fresh element to it, maybe more photorealistic, not as deep and kind of dirty. In Amethyst, it's just a very heavy oud rose. But I wouldn't say they're similar just because that oud makes it like a different fragrance for me completely. I can see why you would compare them, but even the rose, to me, the rose is very different. The interpretation of rose in Atomic Rose, like I said, it comes across a bit brighter, a bit fresher, and the rose in Amethyst, just more dusty and dark. Not necessarily worse, just different. So maybe something to keep in mind if you're hoping to replace Atomic Rose. I don't think this is definitely not a one-to-one. This is definitely an oud rose. Our very last goyle, we've got Honor and Glory. Same thing. I love the gold on the white bottle. It's so striking. For Honor and Glory, top notes of pineapple and creme brulee, middle notes of cinnamon, benzoin, turmeric, and black pepper, base notes of vanilla, cashmere, sandalwood, and moss. I'm so excited for this one, you guys. Okay, very vanilla heavy. I feel like right at the start, I got a hit of that pineapple, but then it's overwhelmingly vanilla. Like the vanilla just takes over immediately. There's a little bit of cinnamon. There is a creaminess. I don't know if it's just the vanilla. I'm guessing it might be that creme brulee note. Like it kind of almost smells like coconut to me. It's almost coming across as like a coconut, like a creamy coconut smell. It kind of is like I can almost see this as like a tropical scent almost. Like a nighttime tropical scent. I love that the cinnamon isn't too heavy in this. I was a little bit worried seeing that cinnamon note. I thought it might be too much. Though I do wish there was a bit more of the pineapple. You know what, actually, as I'm smelling it more, this is turning out to be quite a heavy scent. Very thick and creamy and decadent. There's nothing delicate about this. I would say it's quite thick. I think the pineapple there is adding a little bit of sweetness, but I'm not getting like a citrusy fresh pineapple. I'm getting more of like a milky creamy sweetness. I like this one a lot. I like it. Okay, now that it's drying more, the cinnamon is going more forward, I feel. Obviously this is not on the skin, so that makes it a little more difficult. I find that vanilla doesn't doesn't really do its thing on paper, even though I did get a very big hit of vanilla on initial spray. But I feel like the longer I wait, the more that cinnamon is coming out, and it's becoming more cinnamon forward, almost like something you would wear at Christmas or like for the holidays. The pineapple is totally gone at this point. Just based on my initial thoughts and first impression, I feel as if Amethyst and Honor and Glory are true unisex scents. Personally, I feel as if Oud for Glory is definitely leans more masculine and Sublime leans more feminine, although it's still not nearly as sweet as some of the other fragrances that it's compared to, like KLE's Juicy Apple. This is definitely not as sweet as that. I will do a maceration update after 2-week maceration update.
2 weeks later.
G'day all. I'm back with an update on all 4 Badee Al Ouds. I'm just gonna go through one by one. I actually have tested one of them this morning, most recently another one last night, but there are another 2 that I haven't tested in a few days, so I'm gonna spray those and kind of tell you guys what I think, if the 2 weeks has or has not changed each fragrance. I'm gonna start with the lightest to strongest, because last time when I sprayed Oud for Glory, I got blasted out of the room and I had to leave because it was so strong. Sublime. I am wearing it at the moment. Is there a huge difference? No. I don't really notice one. Maybe, possibly, perhaps the moss and the patchouli might be a little bit stronger. So maybe the base notes are maybe amped up a little bit more. I mean, it's still a very beautiful fruit heavy fragrance that's beautiful for summer. It's still got that nice dusty, slightly muted quality from the rose that I really love. But unfortunately, and I have tested this one a few times in between my very first impression and today, and the longevity I wish was a little bit better. The projection really only lasts for maybe an hour or 2, if that really, and within 3-4 hours it's gone. So that I was a little bit upset about. In fact, I just sprayed it this morning, like an hour and a half ago, and I don't smell it anymore. I don't smell it on myself. Either that or the dry down is so faint that I'm not even really picking it up anymore. And I doused both of my arms. So take that for what you will. Again, I'm curious to see how a longer maceration period will change that. As for now, a little bit disappointed in the longevity of this one. I think the scent is beautiful. I love it for a very fruit heavy, fresh scent for summer. I love it. I think it's really easily digestible. It just doesn't last very long. So that one was a little bit of a disappointment. Moving on to Honor and Glory. I think Honor and Glory, I remember being sweeter on my first impression. Either now I'm picking up more of the spice notes, or maybe the spice notes have become stronger in the last couple of weeks. I think it's still a really beautiful, creamy scent. This, unfortunately, suffers the same thing as Sublime does. The longevity is just as bad, which this one I would expect to last a bit longer. I think my experience with a lot of these more spicy fragrances is that they tend to last and stick to the skin a lot longer, but this did not do that, which is really unfortunate because this is a really beautiful, creamy, spicy fragrance that is still quite feminine. I think if maybe something like KHAMRAH is just way too spicy for you, the added fruit at the top and the bit of creaminess from the creme brulee note, you might like this one, but it doesn't have that same longevity. And man, I would douse myself in this stuff, just wishing that it would, it just doesn't project. It didn't last, probably, so I was a little disappointed about that. Again, I am curious to see how it macerates over time. Maybe in another couple of months, I will come back to it. I'll spray it every now and again, but maybe I'll come and revisit this one once it's been a couple of more months. It's such a beautiful, creamy, sweet, spicy, feminine fragrance. It's just, the lasting power is not there, and that, such a shame. It's such a shame for this one. All right, now we're getting into the more oud heavy boys. Amethyst still really have that beautiful oud heavy rose. I don't know how much this has changed. It wasn't a very bright rose to begin with. It was always very mellow and dusty and deep, and I think that hasn't changed for this. This is not a one-to-one dupe for Atomic Rose because of that deepness that it has. This one lasts a bit longer than Sublime and Honor and Glory, so I was happy with that. Still not as long as I would have liked, but better than the other 2. So, and this is a really great one for that deeper, more sensual oudy rose instead of that overwhelmingly sweet, bright rose if that's not what you're going for. I do like this one, and the longevity was a bit better. And finally, we've got our Oud for Glory. This, I think, is the winner. As far as performance, projection, longevity, durability, Oud for Glory has to be the best of the four. The oud and patchouli combo in this is so sexy and spicy, and it's got a very masculine property with the top notes. You've got that saffron, nutmeg, and lavender in there. I think it makes it quite masculine. I had my husband test this one. I specifically remember one morning, I wasn't actually in here filming. He had left for work and he sprayed this before he left. It must have been about 30 minutes later. I actually walked towards the front door, and I could still smell the trail that it had left behind from him spraying it. So this one, definitely of all four, this has the best performance, the best sillage, the best scent bubble, and the way it dries down is very sexy as well. It has a nice, soft, spicy, leathery dry down, which I think is very sexy. I'm not getting much of a sweetness out of this one. Can't remember if I did on my first impression either. Maybe there's like a sweetness in the patchouli, but it's really not a sweet fragrance. And I would keep that in mind. If you prefer sweeter scents, this might not be for you. But if you want something really strong and powerful that projects and lasts and dries down really sexy and soft and leathery, I think this is a great one. For the price, it's really great. I'm not a huge spicy oud person, but I can recognize that this is a very good fragrance, and I love it on my husband. I don't know how much I would wear it myself, but if this is up your alley, then I think this is a really good one, and I do love it on others. As far as the changes, I don't know how much it's changed really. I think 2 weeks now that I'm doing this and I'm talking about these fragrances, I think I need to do another update in a couple of months. They didn't change as much as I thought they might after 2 weeks, so I'll keep you guys updated on how I feel over time. All right, so those are my final thoughts, you guys. Please let me know what you think. Do you have any of these? Did you have the same experience as I did? I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. All that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.